And it's so important because I was reading an article in the Economist that it said that the biggest thing during COVID that spike up
Mhm.
is beautician, Botox.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because people is seeing all the wrinkles on the face,
Right.
just seeing the tiredness on the face.
That's true.
So Botox has gone off the roof, right? Because it's
Yeah, I
seeing
would think
themselves as
so.
a mirror.
I would think so because people are looking at themselves all the time and thinking. Because I know, like, yeah, it's hard because you look at yourself and you can see all those things. So yeah, I can imagine. That's so funny though. Botox.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that that has increased. Lipstick and deodorant has decreased,
Yep.
and Botox has increased.
Yes, I still wear my you use deodorant. That's always a big thing. I think you know what we joke about is that
Mhm.
especially for faculty, I think we everything from the waist up, we're good. But sometimes we'll have on like bare feet, like right now I don't have shoes on, right? So I think sometimes, you might be a little casual than you would normally be if you were teaching, right? So one of my colleagues says, "Oh yes, I consider myself I've been calling myself the barefoot professor because she says I've been teaching every class bare feet." So, things like that.
Yes, and you
Yeah.
know how we will go into meetings,
Yeah.
and we will have something to eat, and then we will relax. So we will have it after. Now we eating by the time we're doing Zoom. It's like
Yeah.
it's a whole different space.
Yeah, it's very different space to get used to.
And I am exceptionally tired when and so if I'm a student and plus um working as an executive, and plus I have to do my work part-time and plus go to
Yeah.
school, it's really hard. So imagine for students doing that work and school at all time,
Yeah.
and
It's
professors like, so how do you deal with your Zoom fatigue,
okay.
or how
So
students deal with it after? Yes, both.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, so my personal way of dealing with the Zoom fatigue, I mean, I struggled in the beginning, and what I try to do now, if I can possibly do it, I try not to make my meetings back to back. So I try to, like, for instance, let me see, the meeting before this ended at 4. So I had a bit of a break to go do something. I try, even if it's 15 minutes, I try to have a break, I go and stretch. Actually, just the best is sometimes just to close my eyes, close my eyes for 15 minutes before the next Zoom. And, I feel so much more refreshed because, your eyes are tired of looking, all the time. You're always looking at this. And also when you're teaching, I'm used to following the chat function too. So that also, like tomorrow, the class I teach, I have to do my PowerPoint. I have to monitor questions in the chat function, look at when students raise their hand electronically through the participant function. So I feel like I'm just like constantly going like this when I'm teaching. So like, and then if I have a meeting after, I know my class tomorrow finishes at 3:30, then I try my best. If somebody tries to book a meeting at 3:30, I say I'm not available till 4. And then so I give myself that space because I know if I have like tomorrow I have a 3-hour class, and then I will need half an hour before the next one at 4. So I will give myself that break to just close my eyes, get a cup of tea, do something like. So I find that getting through the Zoom fatigue, I try to take breaks. Students have been telling me the same thing, that they try to take a break in between if they can, go and get up and stretch, go outside, even if you go outside for 15 minutes, walk and come back, all those things. Some like yoga, some do meditation. I hear different things.
And how do you find your students coping? Do you see a spike in students saying I having a difficult time to prior to COVID to now in COVID, or is it the
Yeah, oh
same?
yeah. But no, it's not the same at all. And I think
Right.
I think most you're gonna see probably, I bet you, a lot of reports coming out from universities saying, "Wow, we have a spike." Because I know one of my students, like, she was trying to call the campus, mental health services, and like they're booked. Like it was like, wow, if you want to get an appointment, you really have to like wait now because the counselors are overstretched. And whereas before it was like they were maybe at 70% capacity, now they're at 100% capacity. The poor counselors, my heart goes out to them too as well. I can't imagine that job, university counseling, because it's gone up. So what we're going to see, I bet you, are a lot of reports coming out of universities saying, oh my, post during the COVID-19 year of 2020, 2021, there was a spike in, students' anxiety, depression, and mental health services being
Yeah.
needed to address the problems, right? Yeah.
Um, I used to see my psychiatrist every week. Now could only see them once every 2 weeks because she
Right.
said to me, I don't even have the capacity for myself.
Yes, and not only that, but I happen to know I try to, whenever possible, if I know somebody like a black
Mhm.
person or BIPOC person needs a counselor, I try to find like a counselor. So anyway, so I know some black therapists, and they tell me too,
Yes.
they're like, Alana, don't give me any more people. I can't take it. And I
Yes.
can't take any more clients. And I said, really? I said, I have a black woman, she needs counseling. They said, we're fully booked. I can't
Fully.
even take any more. So even the counselors, even though
Mhm.
there's underrepresentation, the black therapists, and BIPOC therapists, I know are being inundated now with requests. So like I know my friends who are therapists, they told me,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Alana, I can't take any more referrals. I can't.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
and it was so funny. One of and and just recently, even my own therapist, sometimes, we do a check-in on each other, and they say, oh my God, I'm so glad I catch you. This is what is happening. I find what I must say with COVID, it bring out a lot of honesty,
Oh yeah.
feelings.
That's true.
There's a lot of honesty and feelings that come out now
Yeah.
because it see that, all of us is feeling it.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter what position of power you are, as long as you're part of this world in this
Right.
pandemic, we are all hurting.
Right. Yeah, it's so true.
And that is a really awakening.
Yeah.
I really like that awakening. And I hope that we could cry that compassion, that empathy that we are doing it now in COVID. I really hope that professors and students
Hmm.
and just the world in general could have that empathy
Yes.
after COVID.
Yes, that's true. I hope that we remember these times and remember what we felt like and what others felt like, and to, have empathy for others. I think that I'm hoping that they continue that.
Um, so you mentioned how you have students, international students that is logging
Mhm.
in foreign parts.
Yes.
How do you cope? So what is your time to get to start your class? Because it's the time zones, right?
Yeah, the time zone. So, for instance, my students, I believe they're ahead of us. So, if my class, like for instance, I have a class tomorrow at 12:30, I have some international students there, and they have to log in to the class. So, in their time zone, it's like they might be 6 hours ahead. So, for them, it might be evening time that they're logging in. So
Yes.
they're logging in the evening for them and afternoon for us. So, and then I have somebody from the UK too, and the same thing. It's they're 5 hours ahead and it's evening. So I have an English student from the United Kingdom and two from Africa who are in the class. And and it's a smaller it's a grad class, so it's like 22 people in the class.
Mhm.
And so three are, outside the country. And so they tell us that, it's evening time in their time zone.
So my husband class, one of his classes, he have a student from Japan.
Hmm.
He has a student from India, and
Yeah.
he has about I think 2 or 3 students from China.
Yeah.
And they're all logging in, and so he has to get up early and be
Mhm.
there because in some people times it was like midnight.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And he said yes. And it's so that's they had to find a way for it to be equal, right? For
Right.
everybody to
Yeah.
be
Mhm.
fully engaged. But
Yes.
a lot of the time the width band drop. because they don't receive. Some people have really, really good internet connection and some people don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not only international students, it's right across Canada.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the problem is some of them drop. Sometimes they'll say, here's what tends to happen when you're just so you know the way it happens in a class usually is you'll get a chat message from a student and they'll say, oh, sorry, sorry, whatever they call you, whether they call you, Miss or Dr. Alana, whatever, it doesn't matter if I'm happy with students to call me Alana, but they'll say, oh, sorry, Alana, my internet just died, or oh, sorry, I realize it's dipping now. I'm going to have to turn off my video or something, or things like that. So, all these things happen, and sometimes they come in and out. Sometimes it's like you look at the list and it's like, what happened to this person? Where's the student gone? And then they come back 10 minutes later, it pops up and then they said, oh, my internet was down for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess I wonder sometimes, like, where have you gone? Where have they gone to? And they just disappear. So they come and go, especially for the international students. I understand that they come and go.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they, sometimes 10-minute block, you may not see them, then they come back online again when the internet is back.
And what other challenges you're seeing students are facing?
Due to
That we touch on.
COVID-19, with COVID-19 and the
Yes.
instruction online. Various challenges, I mean, I mentioned that our learning is synchronous. So we have to do it at the same time in our program. So if my class is 12:30, I log on at 12:30 or something. So that's the time. So the students have to be there at that time. So versus other programs where it's online modules that they're doing. But the challenge has been, managing responsibilities, Carol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Responsibilities. So some of our students, especially when the schools were closed, they had to all of a sudden be babysitters for their little brothers and sisters. So they would say, oh, I'm doing the class now, but you might hear some crying in the background.
Yeah.
Or you might hear, something. So they have responsibilities sometimes for their younger siblings that they have to be looking after. So that's been a big change that impact for our students. Some of our students would say, oh, you know what, I have to look after, I need to leave the class early because I have to look after my younger brother or something or sister. I have to give them something to eat, something, parents not there. Whereas that child would have been in school, they are at home doing their virtual learning or remember there was a long period where students were doing virtual learning after the Christmas break. They didn't get back till when, February or something, so they were at
Yes.
home. So some of the older ones, like our university age students, had to look after their young siblings. So they and look
Right.
after them and help them with their schooling, and so while they're trying to do their online class, they have to help little one who's 10 or something do their online learning. So that's one of the things I heard is that some of them have had to do some caregiving, whereas the school they would have been in school, their siblings, but their siblings they now have to look after.
Yes, that is a really definite challenge, and I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
For me, I would walk through campus. I could have gone to the coffee
Yes.
store and just
Right.
now I have to go pick up the coffee and wave, get out,
Right.
no way. And now I have to sit in a park.
Right.
It's okay to sit in a park, but it's not the same when you sit in a park all alone sometimes, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So it's very different.
Yeah, but for me, it's discovering Carol all over again.
Yeah.
What do I want, and what do I want to see myself as a student, as a mature student during this time?
Yeah.
What is my outcome? So I find my
Yeah.
outcomes is really important to me now. My what kind of contribution that I am making, what impact I'm making in this world. I think that self-reflection piece becomes really high.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big impact of COVID-19 is for many of us to kind of we've had time with ourselves and
Mhm.
like more time with ourselves that we normally wouldn't have had. So we have time to think about, what is it our goals, what like you said, what's the impact you want to have on the community. And that and also it also clarifies COVID-19 also clarifies what we value. What are the things that
Mhm.
we really value in our lives, and it really makes it because some of the things that honestly because there are some things that I used to do that I don't miss anymore. I'm thinking I didn't need that.
Mhm.
The things that I realize that I need, I have. So it's really good at now I feel like I have a renewed understanding of like what is it that I need in my life, what is it that I don't need. Because COVID-19 is really with things being shut down, you're like that's missing, but I don't miss that. That's not something that I value or need in life. So I think our values are really important. We realize what we value and the people that we value, so reaching out to friends and supporting friends in need. Friends are struggling in various ways, and so that has also been something for me, is like also, to clarify, who your friends are. I think COVID-19 has shown that too. Like we've seen kind of who our friends are who are supporting us. Haven't you found like you have like you find like who are your real friends?
Yes, yes,
Because there's some
yes.
people they're only good for like like some people like when things are good they're
Yeah.
fine, but when things are not good they're not there, right? But the people who are like really there for you, like Carol, I'm there for you even though I can't come and hug you or whatnot. I can be there for you. I can do this, or I can call you, or I can text you, right? And then there's some people who like totally have like withdrawn in a way. So I thought that was
Yes.
really interesting for me, was I found that the different ways of coping with COVID-19 kind of showed you who your friends are. A lot of
Yeah.
people would agree. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really and I can remember I had friends that will make it a business that at least twice a week they're in my space.
Right.
If I see them on the radar, that would be good. And then
Right.
now they decided for okay, I'll check you in once every 2 weeks, and now I check in with you once a month, and then
Right.
now I am doing it. But I get worried because it's from big impact always with you to not at all, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
And some people have disappeared. I mean,
disappear.
I've had two people just disappear out and out because of COVID.
Yeah.
I had somebody who contacted and they said, you know what, I can't cope with this. I'm really having a tough time with COVID, and I don't know. I don't know if I want to speak to anybody. And
Hmm.
yeah, this person just said, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm really, and
Hmm.
never, nope, never heard from again. So it's been like
Yeah.
6 months. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes some people that has also been an interesting impact, is
So
people's reactions to or responses to COVID-19. Some people have shut themselves off from other people too, right? Where
yeah,
they just disappear. Like I know I have two friends who just disappeared.
yeah, I could
They
see
have
that
disappeared.
with
Yeah.
me in my own thing, and 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 also even if I ask some of the students that I used to engage in a lot of ways, and I say, well, what happened to this student? They say, oh no, I haven't heard from them. Oh,
Right.
I don't know
Oh
what
yeah, that's
happened.
another thing. Yeah.
So even the students and all of said, oh no, I haven't heard from this student. I didn't know if they graduated. Oh, are they in class? They haven't connected with me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so my friend who is an ophthalmologist at one of the hospitals down in Toronto, he called me last week,
Right.
and this is the most calmest person
Hmm.
that I know on a really personal level.
Yeah.
you know, um, when I'm like, oh, he's always seeing things direct. And he called me and he said, do you want to, are you available for a coffee?
Yeah.
Just downtown.
Oh yeah.
And I said, sure, we could, meet up with me and we'll go for a coffee. And so he drove up and then I walked down because I could walk to the where I live. And so we walked down to a coffee shop and he
Yeah.
said, oh, I'm so glad because I think I was going to lose it.
Oh.
The patients and them are getting grumpy. The
Yeah.
nurses are grumpy. Everybody is grumpy, and I cannot be doing the song and dance. They're asking for too
Right.
much. And this is
Yeah.
a male black man, right?
Right.
So when he reaches boiling point,
Hmm.
it was
Yeah.
really, it was really, I was sad by it, right? And
Yeah.
I'm glad that, the first person he thought about reaching out was for me, to me,
Hmm.
and all we had to do was
I'm
just
not
to have a tea.
surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that they would reach out. Given your way you are, you're so warm and inviting and everything like that. I can imagine that would happen.
Thank you. I didn't see it. So I just think, this is a doctor that have
Right.
to just reach his limit.
And that's the thing we don't realize too is the mental health impact on our frontline people. So I
Yes.
know a lot of the there's been cases of like depression and anxiety, even suicide. I
Yes.
read some cases of suicide doctors, who are
Yes.
they're just overwhelmed by all the death, and COVID-19 is stressing out the emergency room. So I think and nurses, our
Yeah.
nurses,
This is,
personal support workers, all those frontline workers are very stressed out.
and so work. My sister's a manager in one of the UHN hospital,
Mhm.
and my sister always wanted to. She's always thinking, oh, I might be between 5, 10 pounds fluctuating. I will lose. My sister have lost so many weight, so many
Yeah.
lost weight during COVID because she
Oh.
has to go to work every day. And my brother is a recovery of cancer, but
Hmm.
he could work at home. He's a lawyer. He could work at home. My brother-in-law,
Yeah.
but um, my sister who has to go to work because all her staff is frontline workers.
Yes.
She's the frontline worker, right?
Right.
Essential worker. So she could be in her office, yes, but you still have to interact. You still have to go out to the units and things like that. And
Yeah.
my sister is having such a hard time.
Hmm.
And so for Christmas, she didn't want to do anything.
Right. Yeah.
She's like, I can't do anything. So we just
Hmm.
decorated the outside of our house,
Oh,
Graham, David, and I. We drove
that's nice.
we drove up to Malcolm, and we just and we just stay inside and decorate the whole, put up lights, all kind of thing for her. And she came
Oh.
outside, and after when we get in the car, we drove off, and we said, well, look, because she was so scared. Like she said, I work in a hospital. I don't want to see you. I don't want to. And when she came up to see all the lights, she was so happy. But my sister is having a hard time with it, like everybody else, but more so, she works in
Yeah.
a hospital,
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
and she's like, she said on my unit, they don't, and the units of them that she supervised, they don't have the staff, and them was okay, but in the hospital they know about other staff members that
Hmm.
that is had attracted COVID. So having a
Yeah.
parents with that, and I've seen it even when students talk to us when they
Yeah.
apply for our emergency grant. So many students lost their jobs,
Yes. Hmm.
not only on campus, but literally lost the job.
Yes, many jobs. Yeah. What I just 2 hours before this, I was talking to a student who had a job in a restaurant and was saying that the restaurant closed, and that restaurant employed several students in the in the university, maybe 8 or 9 students. So right there, they 8 or 9 jobs gone for students, who needed the job. And the restaurant closed down, because of COVID-19. They're out of business. But yeah, so that's very
And
true.
yeah, and the last question is, what recommendation do you have for students, and what resources are available? Besides, of course, we know we have the student services, the
Mhm.
peer to peer.
Yeah, well, it just to make use of those resources,
Hmm.
to is important to make use of them when you do, like, they're there to support you. So be sure to make use of those resources. Also to reach out, however you can. Like, it could be, you have a friendly ear from somebody like you, Carol, somebody like me, reach out, especially if you're really struggling. Don't keep it to yourself. Reach out to a peer, a colleague, a teacher, somebody in whoever you come across who you think would be helpful to you, to reach out to them is so important. And also to for students, I think we talk about like coping, we talk about self-care, and self-care is important, right? So things that you love to
Hmm.
do. We all have things that make us feel better. But, some of us go for walks. I know a lot of my students have been saying they enjoy their pets so much, taking the dog for a walk, or they're they love to cuddle their cat or something, whatever helps them. So sometimes spending time with their pets, going for a walk, doing things that really help you, meditating. Some students like the one of my classes, a lot of our students talk about watching things on the streaming services. So I think that's another thing, Carol, that has gone up into
Yes.
business wise. I mean, that's a good thing if you had stock in Netflix or something. That has gone up
Yes.
because
Yes.
the students keep saying, one of my classes, they're saying, they like, sometimes when I let them do, they just chat, and we in the beginning of the class, oh, did you watch this? Oh, I binge watched this whole series. Oh, this is a really good series now. Did you see it? So a lot of them are they're doing that, but they're doing it for their mental health. Like, I have one student
Yes.
who said, for her mental health, she watches these things, so she feels less isolated when she can watch some of these streaming things. So a lot of my students I know enjoy it, and so I take recommendations from them. I say, okay, so I said, let's make a list of the good things to stream and recommendations. And they got into it. They're like, oh, I really like this. I've been hearing things about this show called Bridgerton. I don't know what that is, but it's
Oh,
on
I watch it.
Netflix.
It's good.
Yeah, that's what my students are telling me.
It's
So
really good.
my students are like, we love Bridgerton. We want to watch this. And I said, you should watch it, Miss White.
Yes.
So I mean, all those things I think are wellness
Yes.
things, students attempts to make themselves, mental health resources for students, and so yeah, going for walks and things like that, doing self-care things, for yourself. Some are really enjoying like taking baths. For me, I just got into aromatherapy. I was never into that. I thought it was stupid actually before. I was like, why do people, now I have my little aromatherapy lamp. I like to inhale lavender flowers and everything. I'm really enjoying the in my room, because where I'm working my workspace, even just now before this, I put in essential oil, and it's making a nice smell in my room, my space. So I'm really enjoying aromatherapy now. So there's things that you never thought you would enjoy, but you're just doing it for mental health and wellness. So all those things, like, so discover things that you enjoy, I would say. What do you do, Carol? I know you like walking.
Yes, I do. I do a lot of walking, but I I bought a I bought a book. I was up.
Yeah.
I went to cottage country by a friend place, and I bought a book that 160 unusual things to do in Ontario.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Really interesting. And the book, so every Saturday we do a road trip.
Yeah.
My just my son, my husband, and I, because I want my son. It's a time that he has to be with us. There's nothing else to do. And I went on to see a ghost pirate trip
Yeah.
um ship. It was really interesting. I
That's
saw the
interesting.
Mennonite. I saw the oldest mud church
Hmm.
in North America, built out of mud, a cathedral, and I was able to see the first black church in Aurelia that was
Oh,
for slaves.
interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, and I did not know that, and it was like a barn, but it's so much different.
Yeah.
Writing up about all these things. It's called the Aurelia Baptist Church, but it was all for free slaves.
Oh, very interesting.
Only for free. Yeah, I took pictures of that. Um, and we went up to the ruins.
Yeah.
And there's so much history that
Yeah.
I am discovering because it's unusual stuff. But in
Yeah.
looking at these places, I'm discovering a lot of Black history that is not on mainstream.
Right.
So I end up connecting with Dr. Fua Cooper
Oh,
in Halifax.
wonderful. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's wonderful. She's great.
So I end up connecting with her, and I said, okay, well, I just finished this Black church, and I just run a thing here, and slaves came through. So she's now send me a lot of resources that when I go on these road trip with my family on a Saturday, I could go and visit
Yeah,
and
that's really
see that.
good. Yeah, I really like that. I love that idea. Like that you have more resources to go and look at these. And I think too, that is a really interesting point that you made, Carol, is that, a lot of us, because of COVID-19, we haven't been able to really travel. And for many of us, we have our travel plans are always somewhere else. So you get on a plane, you go to Trinidad or you go to,
Yeah,
you go somewhere else. Like I'm just saying for you, yeah,
yeah,
or you
yeah.
go to the States, but like there's so much in Ontario to see,
Only
so
in Ontario. Yes,
exactly there's a lot in Ontario to see. So COVID-19 has given you the chance to,
it's given me,
explore.
and I did not know that Humber College, the main building was asylum.
Yeah. Oh,
So I get,
really?
yeah. So I went through the asylum and just outside because everything is closed. But that was one of the first asylum, and they turned it into the Humber College main floor. Just so much amazing history. And
Yeah.
in Barrie, I saw the first and only wooden um train station. You wouldn't
Right.
believe it's made out of wood. You should see the
Wow.
glass.
Yeah, very interesting.
It's so beautiful. And so we do these little trips to really a Barrie here, Hamilton. We went to Hamilton.
I think you should be doing Ontario yours to discover commercials. They should just have your family do the commercials for Ontario yours to discover.
We having fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. So here's a question that we asked our students, and I want to ask you, and it's a good conversation thing as we're getting closer to the end. What are you looking forward to when COVID-19 is over? Like what are you most looking forward to?
A beer on a patio with 10 of my really close friends that I haven't seen for a while.
Yeah.
20 because my close friends is huge. But to
Yeah.
sit outside on a patio
Mm.
and not any restaurant, just about and have a really nice steak and beer.
Oh yeah, I look forward to that. I look forward to that, something like that. I look forward to theater, live theater again. So I was very excited to see Hamilton. I had bought tickets to
Yes,
see Hamilton, and I was supposed to go with some colleagues. We were supposed to go to Ottawa at the Art Center, and that got canceled. So I used to like to go at least twice a year to see a live musical. I love
yes,
musicals. And so
yes.
I miss musicals. So I'm looking forward to when it comes back. I'm going to try to go and see some musicals. I love that. Just live things. I haven't been to the movie theater. And also traveling, like being able to travel again.
I used to try. So we used to be traveling, right? All over Europe,
Yeah.
Asia, everything, the family going. After this year, um, it, it, now I'm discovering so much in Canada, in Ontario.
Yeah.
I'm like halfway through my book because we started from the beginning of COVID.
Oh, I see. Wow.
So it's a weekend trip that we
Mm.
put aside to do if we don't do
That's
on
a
a
really
Saturday,
great idea.
we do it on a
That's so
Sunday or
nice. You
somewhere.
you know you should have done you that would have been an interesting thing to do. Like you could have written a blog or something. It would be fun. Like and take pictures every time you go. Like as you're progressing through the book, it would be so much. It would be interesting
So
for
I have a
people.
lot of pictures standing with my
Yeah,
mask and
that
COVID.
would
And I
be
said,
so good for a blog.
I
Just
will
a
do it
photo idea.
after COVID. I will say from
Yeah.
March every week, and I will do it because we're winding down.
Yeah, I love that idea of doing that would be a nice thing to do. Like just a blog, a travel blog where people could follow, like and get and the book, like you're following the book. You said to step by
Yeah,
step. So I think that's so great. That's so you should definitely notify the author of the book that you're doing it. So I think that would be
I sent him an
interesting.
email actually.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
I
it would be
did.
interesting for them to know, like, look, here's somebody taking it up.
So I did. I sent him an email
Yeah.
and he sent me the book of all the waterfalls in Ontario.
Oh,
He was
nice.
so excited because, and people ask me, like, when it's on the car, the dashboard,
Mhm.
um, they'll say, "Where's this? Like, where did why did you oh, that book looked interested from social distancing," and
Right.
then I
Yeah.
kind of show it to them.
Yeah.
But I like road trip, and that's
Oh,
the way
yeah,
in
me
which I could
too.
de-stress.
Yeah, which is so nice.
And a way for my son to know what Canada is all about.
Yeah, which is good. It's good to take the time to enjoy. And that's, I think, one thing that maybe we could take from our situation of not being able to cross borders is to, enjoy what is right in front of us in our own
Right in front of
cities and
us.
province and everything.
Because I did not know, finally, I didn't know that Chinatown had a whole wall of graffiti in
Oh,
graffiti art, that book. So I walked through Kensington Market and there's just walls and walls of graffiti art. So beautiful.
yeah.
Didn't see that.
No.
So, Alana, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your recommendation for students for self-care.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah,
you
thank you.
do you
Thanks for
have
having me.
anything you
No, yeah, thank you for having me. As I mentioned, it's a pleasure. I think I want to also, commend you for the hard work that you've done with CESAR over the past year. You've done so much work, like you were telling me about reading all those bursary applications and being there for students, So I think that it's wonderful that you're making such a contribution to CESAR, and the students, looking after those part-time students who have a need. So I want to thank you for all the hard work you're doing and really important work. You're doing really important work. And I see you doing this after. Like I feel like you're one of those people that you could be 10 years later, 11, like people will still find you somehow. They'll be like, "Carol, I remember you. You were helping me." So so I think
I
it's
know,
wonderful.
but I have a really amazing team at CESAR.
Yeah.
And I find CESAR team is progressive.
Yeah.
We going into an election and I saw the lineups of the new roster, the new set of people coming, the ones of them who will be taken. I will be passing on that portfolio,
Mhm.
and they I am the CESAR will be in good hands.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
CESAR will
So
be in good hands, and that
yeah,
is the most important thing, is to make sure that we have stability for our student.
right.
Because I just like you, Alana, I really have a passion
Mhm.
for students. Students to me,
Yeah,
it's just a heartbeat.
yeah,
When I see them grow and develop and just fly,
exactly.
it's
Oh yeah, I'm the same. I'm very student focused too, so that's a
yeah,
good
I
thing.
really,
Yeah, so
really
it's
enjoy
really
student
nice, like
focus.
the important work that you're doing. So thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to speak to you, as it's always. It's always a pleasure, and I'm hoping that in the summer we fingers crossed we can do a patio
Yes,
with me and you. That would be so
we will
nice.
do a patio. I saw Hamilton in New York.
Oh,
So
you did? Oh.
I'm happy. No, I'm happy that you're going to Ottawa to see it. I
Mhm.
really, really looking forward to it. And I will, probably piggyback on your Ottawa trip to see Hamilton because
Love to. I'd love to
it's
have you. Yeah, I'm still
yeah,
because we were supposed to go in, like, I can't remember. I think April 2020, and it got canceled. So the next date
yes,
is something like January 2022 or something.
yes.
So we'll see.
Because my niece go to the art school in Juilliard. She's
Yeah.
American
Oh, wonderful.
born. So because of that, she get the tickets that they could go as a student, and that's
Yes.
how I had the opportunity. So I am really, really happy for you. We will, we always connect
We
in
always
so much.
do.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for doing the work that you do in teaching the students.
Yeah, well, thank you, everyone.
And
Thanks to
thank you,
Caesar.
Caesar.
Thank you, Caesar, for the invitation. You in particular, Carol, Corey, Scott, for all your work. Maddie, and everyone else who's helped to make this possible. So thank you for inviting me and for providing all that great tech support you provided.
Bye.
Bye. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone. Bye.